Do you know what is the major source of water on this earth? Rain. That's absolutely correct. And where does rain come from? The clouds. Okay, fair enough. But do you know how clouds are formed? How is that those white fluffy things in the sky come down upon us as cold tiny water droplets? This is an amazing process. And let us see how it takes place. We studied in our previous video that heating of air causes it to expand and rise. Now we all know that air contains moisture or water vapor. This moisture in the air is in which state? That's correct. Moisture in the air is in the gaseous state and it slowly rises above along with the air molecules. How would you convert gas into water? We can simply cool gas to get water, right? And that's exactly what happens to the moisture as it rises higher and higher. It gets cooler and at a certain point, the water vapor condenses into a water droplet. Just like the tiny water droplets formed on the surface of a bottle which has been taken out of the refrigerator. But in this example, the droplets do have the surface of the bottle to rest on. What about the droplets which are up in the sky? On which surface do they rest? You'd assume that there's no surface in the sky on which these droplets can rest. But as we know, the air has many particles. There are several dust particles and they serve as a nucleus. What exactly is a nucleus? A nucleus can be considered as a surface on which the droplet can condense. Do you know these condensation nuclei are also called as cloud seeds? Yes, just like seeds in the center of the fruit, similarly, a condensation nucleus will be surrounded by the water droplet. Now coming back to our original question, how are clouds formed? Several such nuclei come together to form clouds. And how does the cloud then give us rain? When billions of water droplets form a cloud, at a point the cloud becomes heavy as it has a lot of water in it. At this point, the cloud cannot hold the water anymore, and these droplets begin to fall as rain on the earth. So that's how rain is formed. So now we understood the concept of how clouds are formed and how they come down as rain. But here's another interesting question for you. Have you ever wondered why the clouds appear white in color? Think hard. The sun is the main contributing factor as to why clouds often appear to be white. When sunlight goes through just the Earth's atmosphere, it gets scattered by the tiny air molecules. Scattering means that the light hits a particle and gets reflected in a random direction. The tiny air molecules by themselves scatter blue light stronger than red light. Because blue light gets scattered by molecules more than any other color of light, the light which reaches our eye contains more blue. And thus, if we look at the sky during the day, it appears blue. Now, what are clouds composed of? They are made up of tiny water droplets which are much bigger than air molecules. The sunlight gets scattered here as well, but the bigger particles scatter light almost the same way for each color of the spectrum. That's why we receive the complete color spectrum when we look at the clouds. And the complete color spectrum is nothing but white. Thus, clouds appear white in color. Now that you know how clouds are formed and how it rains, let us look at how rains and winds are interrelated. Do you think rain can be affected by the wind patterns? Absolutely. Have you seen or heard the weather reports? How do they predict the rainfall? It's the winds that tell them about the rainfall. When winds move in from the sea to land and are carrying clouds laden with water, it is bound to rain. What happens if a mountain blocks the winds which are carrying moisture-bearing clouds? The clouds will give rain only to one side of the mountain, which we call the windward side. And the leeward side, which is the other side, will remain dry. Similarly, at times, hurricanes in the oceans are a forewarning of rain for the coast near to it. The wind will carry away all the moisture along with it and drop it as it moves through the land. Thanks to the winds, without which the lands would have no rain. For example, in a country like India, we have the southwest and the northeast monsoon rains. This is because of the winds blowing in these directions. They carry along with them moisture-laden clouds which are formed above the sea. Wasn't this an amazing lesson? Now you know exactly how each raindrop has had quite a long journey.